Let's talk about Wicked for Good. So I just got home a little while ago. It's currently 12:30 a.m. as I'm recording this, and this episode needs to come out like yesterday. So I'm procrastinating hardcore. But anyways, I really want to talk about Wicked for Good. I've seen the movie about 3 times already, and honestly, every single time that I've watched it, I've picked up something new. I'm starting to see a lot more things in the movie that are really sitting with me, if that makes sense. So yeah, just a heads up, this episode will have spoilers, so if you haven't watched it yet, please go watch it. Also, and to be fully transparent, I don't want to make call this like a movie review. If anything, I guess this is just my emotional take on Wicked for Good as a whole, because at this point, I mean, that's kind of what the podcast is about, just giving my thoughts and feelings on whatever piece of shit that I'm talking about. Oh my god. Because at this point, that's just kind of that's what I do here. That's what we talk about. We talk about the hard feelings and shit, you know? So let's get into it. I'm going to say I loved part 2 more than part 1. And the reason is pretty simple, the tone shift. The tone shift in part 2. So back in part 1, there was a lot of glitz, glamour, and everything was pretty perfectly choreographed. Like, it's very structured in a way it's very beautifully done. And in part 2, you see the glitz, like the glitz and the glamour, it starts to crack. The shine starts to fade and the illusion starts to drop. The whole world of Oz comes into this raw technicolor. Like, everything finally gains depth and truth and actual emotional color, if that makes sense. You start to see the characters stop being these archetypes and start just being real people with insecurity, fear, trauma, jealousy, regret, lack of accountability, or accountability in general. It stops being a fairy tale and almost kind of like it all becomes reality. And something people don't talk about enough is that Wicked is just packed with political, social, and religious commentary. It's literally a story about propaganda, oppression, marginalization, charismatic leaders, fear-mongering, manufactured villains, and how people in power can really manipulate the narrative. So you start to see that Oz isn't just a fairy tale, it's also like a reflection of Earth in our reality. It's basically our world covered in like in green lighting. Also, I noticed a lot of people had problems with Dorothy's screen time. One of my homies was saying like, "Oh, this could have been a great opportunity for her to have a song. She should have had more screen time. We never got to see her." And I'm like, "Dude, you're missing the point. This isn't Dorothy's story. Dorothy's a fucking cameo. Like, she's presented in this movie to be more of a connection point. Her little moments were absolutely perfect, and the best bridge between like the original film and the world of Wicked. And I think we need to remember the heart of the story. Wicked is about 2 young people who met in school. 2 insecure, naive, messy, hopeful people who changed each other's lives. It's about Elphaba and Glinda. Like, that's the whole fucking heart of it. And now to talk about Elphaba. Elphaba in part 2. Honestly, I could go on forever about this, but the events of Wicked for Good take place 5 years after part 1, and she's lived with the consequences with her actions. She's lived with being misunderstood, and she's lived with choosing truth over comfort. At this point in time, she's not discovering who she is. She already knows that. She's standing in it. She's flying in it. She's using that power, and she's embraced her flaws, like her insecurities, everything that makes her different, and ultimately her power. She isn't trying to be seen as like a good witch or good in general. She just wants justice. She wants to expose the wizard for his lies, and she wants to do the right thing. She wants to expose the wizard for his lies, and ultimately she wants to do the right thing even if people call her the villain. And honestly, that part it hits me so fucking hard. Choosing what's right even if it costs you everything, even your reputation. It's such a human experience. Another thing that I've noticed too is let's talk about Nessa Rose, Elphaba's sister, because this movie did not hold back on toxic family dynamics, and this is never talked about in my opinion. The moment that Elphaba goes to see Nessa for help, not for herself but to save Oz, Nessa immediately throws it back at her, like saying, "Well, you weren't there when father died." And Elphaba telling her, "Well, our father hated me." And Nessa responding with, "Well, that's a wicked thing to say." That line, that moment says so much. You have to think about it. Nessa Rose lived in a fantasy version of their family. Elphaba lived in the reality. And Nessa weaponizes Elphaba's pain, her insecurity, her entitlement, all of it against her own sister. And then, Nessa asks for help, and Elphaba, as always, just gives it to her. She gives Nessa exactly what she wants, but it's never enough. At this point, like, Nessa wants Bach's heart. She wants to be with him. She reads from the Grimoire out of pure jealousy and anger, fucking him over. And then who has to fix it? Elphaba, obviously. And, their final exchange is it's powerful and also so devastating to see when Nessa is crying to Elphaba, "Don't leave me." And she responds with something like, "My entire life I've done everything for you, and it's never enough. It'll never be enough. Goodbye, Nessa. I'm off to see the wizard." Like, the emotional embodiment of cutting off a toxic family member, someone who really just drains you dry, someone who just takes from you and never gives, someone who refuses accountability and lives in the bubble of their own fucking creation. Nessa literally lived her whole life in a bubble, and she never grew. She never changed, never stepped outside of herself. She died inside the same bubble that she lived. She left to go chase after Bach after he became the Tin Man, crying, screaming over him, and just still more concerned with the love of her life. Well, with the illusion of this love of her life, and then ended up having a house fall on her. It just shows the reality of people live their entire life in their bubbles and never come out of it and never do anything worthwhile for themselves. It's a whole bunch of realistic mental health, like real life issues just wrapped into something so it's interesting. It's really fucking interesting and sad, but it's pure reality. That stuff that really does happen. I want to talk about Glinda. Glinda the Good. Honestly, I think there's a lot of controversy with her, but in my opinion, Wicked for Good, her arc is honestly one of the most human things I've ever seen. In part one, she's surface level perfection. She's beautiful, popular, poised, sparkly, just very Barbie-esque, I guess. And in part two, you really start to see that unravel. She starts questioning herself. She starts to break, and she starts to grow. She gets everything she's ever wanted, like the prince, the prestige, the fantasy, and then realizes that this isn't her. None of this is fulfilling, and none of this is real. And ultimately, she does make bad choices, like messy human choices. Like when she sees that Elphaba and Fiero are going to be together and he's leaving with her. And she's so heartbroken and so distraught that she tells Madame Marble and the wizard to use her sister to bring Elphaba out of hiding. That moment really shows that she's not good. She's not evil. She's just human. She's flawed, emotional, and she's scared. It is, she's not immune to making bad choices. But ultimately, at the end, she does step into the truth. She wakes up. She stops pretending. She comes out of that bubble, physically and metaphorically. And the lyrics in the song are basically her final reflection. Like, who can say if I have been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. She never claims to be redeemed. She never claimed perfection. All she's claimed is that she's trying to grow. the awareness and the pure honesty. And at the very end of the film, when she says to the citizens of Oz, if you'll let me, I'd like to try to be Glinda the Good. Try, keyword try, is honestly the whole point, because trying is a part of the magic, a part of the growth, and ultimately just a part of humanity. And I think that's kind of the heart of Wicked. You know, the story, it's Wicked, it's not about witches or flying or magic. It's about being human. It's about friendship. It's about the person who sees you fully, even when it's so fucked up. It's about the person who challenges you, annoys you, and then ultimately changes you. It's about choosing yourself, choosing the truth, choosing to grow, even when it's so goddamn hard. Even if it costs you the life that you thought you wanted. Elphaba and Glinda never saved Oz. They saved each other. And if this movie has taught me anything, it's reinforcing the fact that we all get changed by people who love us, for better or for worse and for good. And I think that we watch the movie and think, oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, it's beautiful. The music is great. Oh, the acting is good. Oh, it's a great film. But at the end of the day, like, there's so much reality woven through all the glitz and the glamour of this film. And I don't think people are noticing it. I don't think people catch on to it, that there's something to relate to for everyone. There's something that could be applied to everyone. I mean, I'm currently on my journey of trying to be the best version of myself that I can be. You know, spending my entire life thinking, oh, I want to be a good person. But what the fuck is a good person? Glinda is a wonderful example of, okay, you want to be good, but what does that even mean? They say in the movie that don't make good just be a word. Like, let it mean something. Okay. Well, I believe good and bad is a spectrum, and then people are a mix of both good and bad. And I think that nobody's immune to making mistakes or fucking up or making bad choices, but it's how you handle them after the fact and how you take accountability and how you move forward, which is what says the most about you, which is what says what kind of person you are. But yeah. I think Wicked is this movie is really fucking good. Dude, 3 fucking times, and I'm most likely gonna see it again too, but I can't say enough good things about the movie. I know my boyfriend had a lot of good, interesting facts about the political stances and also how it could be considered a very good reflection of, like, religious aspects. Like, there's religious aspects woven throughout the film too. And I think there's more conversations to be had about this film as a whole, and how we move forward as a society, how we move forward as people, and how we see each other differently. But that's neither here nor there. This movie was amazing. It was wonderful. And I hope you take the chance to go see it for yourself. Thank you for listening to me talk about this shit. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Please See Above podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Eric Appleseed. I'm Eric Ornelas, the creator, executive producer, and host of Please See Above. This podcast is recorded in Glendora, California. Music is by Juan Avitia. Be sure to check out new episodes every Wednesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.